Rita, you talked about being a reputation defender in your role as a global controller. Tell us a little bit about what you mean by that. What is that? How does that show up, if you will?
Sure. So I guess I would start by saying, I don't think it's just the global controller who's a reputation defender. I think it's the broad organization that surrounds us. One person can't do this job on its own. So it's really about having a really strong team around you that is like-minded in terms of acknowledging that the criticality of this reputation defense. And if I think about what that means is there's an expectation of investors of what's in the financial statements, that they can rely on it. There's going back to the terms that were used back in the day of reliance, relevance, all those type of words that were there. And they still are important today. And I think someone should be able to pick up your financial statements and believe that you've disclosed things that are important for an investor to understand. There's a lot of things that go on in a company, and some of it isn't really relevant to an investor. But what are the big things that are important for an investor to understand when they're making an investment decision, or they're deciding to invest in a stock, or they're deciding if they want to continue to hold the stock? We have rating agencies who rely on our financial information as well. So there's a variety of stakeholders. We have regulators, we have government agencies, and there's just a whole plethora of individuals and organizations that rely on the financial statements. And they should feel that they can pick them up and know that they're really giving the information that's important for them to understand. So you have to remove your own bias from what you think is important, knowing everything you know, and try to say, well, if I didn't know these 5 other things, would I think this one particular fact is important? I think also, if I think about the reputation defense, it's really making sure that we are continuing to do the accounting right. So not just the disclosures, but we're doing the accounting right, so that when we're putting information, we're putting numbers that are on our balance sheet or our income statement or our cash flow, that those numbers are accurate, that we have the right processes around the how those numbers come together, and the controls around that is really important, so that when someone picks up the financial statements, they know that they're right. And there's big impacts, and we've seen it for other companies. There's big impacts when a company doesn't have that right. And, sometimes you just have to make sure you're putting the diligence into the process to ensure that the financial statements are accurate.
Yeah, I think the whole point is that this is the first line of defense in terms of the public reputation of all the whole economic system we're under, right? The whole public markets, the reputation of finance and accounting, et cetera. So, and I like you tied in, the controls. You've got internal audit, you've got external audit. All that stuff has to help go. But the first part is trying to make it right when you put those numbers out to begin with.
It takes a team approach. And I think the important things when you're thinking about the defense of a reputation is ensuring that people are aligned on what is important, and that they're aligned that these things are important to make sure a shareholder can feel that they have the right information to make the right investment choices, to ensure that anyone else who's using the financial statement expects them to be accurate, and not just accurate because they're audited, but accurate because the people who are preparing them are have the right discipline and the right skills, quite frankly, to actually do the work. And I think it also is important to make sure that the tone of the company is set, or the tone of the organization is set, that these are the things that are important for us to proceed with.